Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. Yes, so we are talking about wedding cakes tips. Yes, so if you're somebody who have already been baking, you've been doing birthday cakes, anniversary cakes, and other cakes, and you've been expecting when will my wedding cake order come? When will my first wedding cake order come? Yes, so these tips are for you. They are to guide you through the journey and so that you wouldn't make any mistakes. Yes, so let's get into the tips. Yeah, so our first tip is understanding your client's vision. Yes. So what do you need to know before you understand your client vision? Yeah, so the first thing is you have to ask them for their wedding theme and colors. Yes, so you need to know what the idea that's in your customer's mind, what they're expecting, what, like for example, the ambience they are looking at, what they want for the wedding. You need to know all those things before you even think of pricing a cake, or before you even think of giving them a price for the cake. So you need to know the kind of people they are expecting for their wedding, the ambience and all that. You need to put that into consideration. Then what you need to then do is to discuss the flavor preference. Yes, you need to know what they need for, what the kind of flavor they need for their wedding. Yes, so but mostly what the cake flavor that are normally used for weddings is fruit cakes. Fruit cake is what is generally and mostly ideal for wedding cakes. So if, for example, your client doesn't want the fruit cake and they want maybe like popular cakes like vanilla cake, chocolate cake, red velvet cake for their wedding, then you will need to also put that into consideration and probably let them know that okay, for wedding cake, it's normally ideal to use fruit cakes for wedding cakes. You need to let them know and all that. Yeah, then what you need to also need to do is to share inspirational photos. Yes, you need to be open to ideas. That is where you ask for their if they have pictures of what they are looking at, or if you can also share pictures. And make sure, if you've not done a wedding cake before, make sure to share pictures of cakes that you can be able to do. Don't just go online or go on Pinterest and pick any wedding cake. Then you will now start asking people or other bakers for how to be able to go about the cake. Make sure to know how to bake those cakes before taking the pictures to share with your clients. So what you have to also do is to consider the venue and the season, because the weather can impact the design on your cake. So you need to consider the venue. Yes, before you price your cake, you need to consider the venue. You need to know where the venue where the cake will be held and all that, and also the season in which you are in. So, for example, if you are in the rainy season, you need to consider that a fondant recipe that you'll be using for a wedding which is in the rainy season will be different from the fondant recipe that you'll be using for in a dry season. I don't know if you get. I don't want to get anybody confused, but I can repeat myself. What I mean is that a fondant recipe that you can use during a rainy season would definitely be different from the fondant recipe that you use in a dry season. So you need to consider all those things, and the cost will be different. So you need to consider these things before pricing your cake. Next point is pricing the cake. So for pricing your cake, you need to consider the cake size and the number of tiers, and also the size of the number of tiers. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So for example, if a cake which is a two-tier cake which has a 6 and an 8 inch for the two-tier, and the 6 inch is 4 inch high and the 8 inch is 4 inch high, which is the total of 8 inch high. And we also have another cake which is 8 and 6 inch for the tier, and the 8 inch is 6 inch high and the 6 inch is 6 inch high, which is the total of 12 inch high. The two cakes, that's cake A and cake B, the two cakes will require two different things to bake them, and the cost will be different. Cake B will be more expensive than cake A, even though they are of the same design. So you need to put all those things into consideration before thinking of the price to give to your customers. What next is that you need to consider the complexity of the designs. So whether they are the one bringing the designs or you are the one bringing your design, you need to consider the complexity of the designs. Yeah, there are some designs that are very delicate, so you need to consider those designs before pricing your cake. There are some designs that have some fancy things on them. You need to consider everything on it. You need to make sure to be so details about the detail on the cake before pricing your cake. The next up is that you need to add a delivery fee. That is what we talked about in number one point, that you need to know the venue. So when you know the venue, then you'll be able to know how much cost it would be for your delivery to be able to take you to and fro for the delivery. That you need to know the delivery cost, yes, that is involved. You need to put that into consideration even before you charge, so that when you are charging, you let them know that okay, this is the charge for the cake, and this is also the cost for the delivery. Because for me, I normally charge separately. The charge, I normally do a separate charge for the cake and a separate charge for delivery. So that is what you need to consider. The next up is that you need to consider the date of the wedding. So let's say, for example, a cost of flour is, let's say, 10 cedi per 100 gram in this month, or as at now that I'm talking to you. In 2 or 3 months time, the cost of flour might double or even triple in price. So you need to consider and put all those into consideration. Make sure that if the wedding is in 2 or 3 months time, make sure to add the cost. Make sure to add the cost of the date of the wedding into the cost of what you are charging, or the cost of the cake, so that you will not end up meeting the client at the end of the day and telling them that okay, the cost has increased, and I want to the reason they are asking, or the reason they are pricing, or the reason they are paying for the cake, the time they are paying for the cake, is because they want to plan ahead for their wedding. So you need to put all those things into consideration. So what next is that you need to ask for a deposit. Yes, you need to ask for a deposit. So me, normally what I do is that I ask for 50% deposit. Some people ask for 70%, that is them. But for me, what I do is that I ask for 50% deposit. Then when the cake is ready for delivery, I take the remaining 50%. So you need to make sure to ask for the deposit. Don't go ahead to make the cake with your money. That is a dangerous thing you're doing. Make sure to ask for a deposit. Yes. So our next point is measurement. Yes, so like I used in the pricing, I used two cakes for an example. That is cake A, which is 4 inch high, 6 inches 4 inch high, 8 inches 4 inch high, and the total height of the cake is 8 inch high. And cake B, which is 8 inch, is 6 inch high, and 6 inch is 6 inch high. The total height is 12 inch high. Will require different batter for making these two cakes. Cake B will require more batter than cake A, which means that you need to know your measurement from the lowest unit. You need to know the measurement that will go into these two cakes, so that it wouldn't overwhelm you. You need to know the amount of measurement that you need for an 8 inch, which is 6 inch high, which will probably be a three-layer cake, and also a 6 inch, which will probably be a three-layer cake, and it has a height of 6 inch. Yes, so you need to know the measurement that will go, so that you will not end up asking other bakers, I want to bake a two-tier cake. How much measurement, or how much total of batter do I need, or how much total of buttercream do I need to cover a two-tier cake? You need to sit down and calculate all these things. You need to calculate. You need to calculate from the lowest unit. You shouldn't just go. You shouldn't just assume. You need to sit down and calculate. And also you have to put it at the back of your mind that when you are dealing with a square cake and a round cake, the measurements are different. A square cake will require more batter, more work, and more cost than a round cake, even though they are of the same inch. So let's say for a 10-inch cake, which is a square cake, will require more batter and more time to work than a 10-inch, which is a round cake. So you need to put that into consideration. So when you are charging, you need to put all this into consideration. So our next up is the baking. So what I normally do is that immediately I bring out the fruit cake, because I normally do fruit cake for wedding. I bring out the fruit cake from the oven. I normally cover the pan where the cake is in. I normally cover it with a cling film, so that it can be able to trap enough moisture. Yes, because fruit cake, if you are not careful, it easily dries out. So what I normally do is that I normally cover it with cling film, so that it can trap, while it's still hot, it can trap enough moisture. Yes, so if you want, I have a fruitcake recipe on my channel. Yes, so you can check it out and use it for your wedding cakes. That recipe is what I use for all my wedding cake, and it's on point. It's and my customers have always given me great feedback about it. And guys, please kindly give me a thumbs up if you are enjoying up to this point. Yes, give me a thumbs up. Please kindly subscribe, kindly share this video to your family and friends, especially those who you know this video will be helpful to. Kindly share to them. Yes, so our next point is the decorating. Yes, so what you can do is that you can start the decoration, start preparing for like about 2 months, or from when the deposit is being paid, you should start preparing for the cake. So that is, if you are doing fruit cake, you should start soaking your fruits and letting them sit for before even the time you would bake. So make sure to start preparing. So me, normally what I do is that if I have any sugar flowers to decorate or sugar flowers to make, I make them 3 weeks before the time, so that it can be able to have time to dry out before I use it on the cake. So if you have any other thing, make sure to make them 3 weeks before the wedding cake, so that you can be able to have enough time to concentrate on the wedding cake. So normally what I do is that I bake the cake, the fruit cake, 5 days before the day, so that the main aim is to have enough time for the wedding cake, so that it wouldn't overwhelm me. Yes, so I normally bake the cake 5 days before I start, before the day, before the D-Day. Then I start decorating the cake 2 days before that time. That is why you need to use fruit cake, not a normal or the popular vanilla or chocolate or red velvet cake, because that one might go bad easily. So it's better to use the fruit cake, which will stay outside for a longer. Yes, so I normally decorate my cake 2 days before the day, so that if I'm using fondant, it can have enough time to dry out and be firm enough. So normally what I do is that after decorating, I put it closer to where there's AC, or where the place is cool, for it to harden up, so that it can be firm enough, so that it can be able to withstand the pressure of the stacking when we are stacking. I don't know if you understand, because I don't want to confuse anybody. Yes, so that is what I normally do. I normally allow it to dry out and be firm enough before I before the D day. So the next thing you need to also consider is doweling. Doweling is a whole topic on its own, but we need to talk about it. Doweling. So what I usually do is that, for example, if I'm doweling a 10-inch cake, I normally use about 8 dowels. If I'm doweling an 8-inch cake, I use $6. So I use two minus 2 dowels for a tier. That is, for a 10-inch cake, I use $8. For an 8-inch cake, I use $6. For a 6-inch cake, I use $4. That is how I do. So if it's a 3-tier cake, what you normally do is to dowel the 10-inch cake. Then you put your base. After putting your base, then you put your next tier. Then you dowel the 8-inch. If the 8-inch is the next tier, make sure you dowel the 8-inch. After doweling the 8-inch, what you do is that you will not dowel the 6-inch, which is the last tier. You will not dowel. All you do is to put in a center dowel. Then you will then stack the last door on it, and make sure that it doesn't poke out. So you need to have your measurement right. So make sure it doesn't poke out. That is how you dowel. If it's a 2-tier, you dowel the base, you don't dowel the top. So you put in a center dowel that will pass through to the last tier. Yes, so that is how it is for dowel. So you need to dowel right, so that you will not have your cake tilting to one side or bulging, or your cake collapsing and all that. You need to dowel right, and that is why you need fruit cakes, because fruit cakes are very stable, they are firm enough, they are also okay to work with. Yes, so our next point is packing. So you need to make sure you pack everything. So everything you use on the cake, make sure to pack. Make sure to pack from the lowest unit to the highest unit. If you use sugar craft, make sure to pack. If you use piping bags, make sure to pack. If you use flowers, you need to pack additional flowers. If you use fondant, you need to pack any fondant color you use. Make sure to pack each and every color in your bag, because anything can happen, and we are not praying for anything to happen, but anything can happen. Yes, you need to make sure to have everything you use on the cake, every flour you use, make sure to have it. Anything you use, make sure to, if it's brush, make sure to have, if it's color dust, if it's gold dust, make sure to have each and everything in your bag before you get to the venue. So our next point is proper cake transportation. So what you need to do is that you need to use a steady cake box or a carrier to carry your cake. So me, normally what I usually do is that I usually carry my cakes in individual boxes, that each every tier I normally pack them in individual boxes. I don't normally stack my tiers before I go to the cake venue. I normally pack them in individual boxes, or I use wraps. I use cellophane wraps to wrap them individually before I get to the venue. Then I now stack. So you need to make sure that they are properly packed in boxes or in cellophane rubbers. Yes, so you need to also make sure that you drive slowly if you are not the one driving. If you are going with a public transport or with an Uber or Bolt or Yango in our part of our world, that is Ghana, make sure to let the driver drive slowly so that you can be able to avoid sudden stops or any sharp turn. So our next point is the setup. So what you need to do is that you need to go to the venue early. So let's say the wedding time is 2 p.m. You need to make sure that latest by 12 o'clock you are there to prepare for your cake and stack up and do your necessary preparation so that you wouldn't be overwhelmed or be pressured when the occasion starts. You need to go early and make sure that if your area is a traffic area, you need to go early so that you avoid sitting down in traffic and all that. Yes, that is when you also have to put the venue, you also have to know where the location is so that you can prepare ahead of time. So what next is that when you get to the venue, make sure to greet the people around, make sure to rapport well with them. Yes, you can introduce yourself, let them know that okay, you are a so baker, you are the head baker, you are from this place, you are from that place. Yeah, make sure to introduce yourself. Do not just barge into the place and just go straight to start decorating your cake. Make sure to have a good rapport with the people you meet at the venue. So what next is that you need to go to the wedding venue with somebody. So you can go with your sister, with a cousin, or maybe a boyfriend or a husband. Make sure to go out there with somebody, because if you do not go there, you might be overwhelmed and you might have the whole place scattered with your cake tools and materials. So make sure to go so that when you are at the venue or when you're decorating, they can be handing you over things that you need so that the whole place will not be overcrowded with your things or your tools. Yes, so make sure you go out there with somebody so that you can be able to, it will even help the people trust your work, because if they see you with somebody, they'll be like, okay, they it will increase your confidence when you go out there with somebody. Yes, guys, so thank you so much. I hope these points are helpful to you. I hope it helps you through your wedding cake journey. Yes, I hope it helps you to your wedding cake journey. So thank you so much, guys, for watching up to this point. Please don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, don't forget to hit the notification bell below so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be the first to be notified. Till we meet in our next video, please stay safe.